Alright, so let's check out the stock market. So if we come over to the SPY, this is normally what I look at. You can see that we have had a fairly decent rally in the past few days. It seems to be holding up a lot stronger than Bitcoin, which obviously seems to have been plummeting today. So for the SPY, I'm still looking at this rejection zone here. Now, the stock market normally makes its decisions a lot slower than the crypto market does, so we need to see what's going to happen in the next 3 days for the stock market. We may even find out sooner, but I'm looking at two scenarios and two scenarios only. That's either we come up to this line here around about 457, pretty much where we're at now, when we roll over, and we'll have to see if we hold the 200-day moving average around here, or alternatively we hop above this rejection zone, or this resistance line, sorry, and we go off to the moon. And we'll need to talk about what happens in this scenario, but for now we're still in decision time. The SPY hasn't decided if it's going up or down. I would like to remind you that a lot of people are getting bullish on stocks right now, but we are still below this key resistance here. So in the past few videos for the SPY I've outlined that this chop pattern here that we're seeing is not new. A lot of the time we break below the 200-day moving average here, get a strong bounce out of here, and this is when everyone thinks that we're very bullish. It didn't happen here. It did happen here before we rolled over. It's a lot more prominent if we come over to the daily and I come back to where I was. So you can see we normally break below the 200-day moving average, explode out of it, and we either then hold the 200-day moving average and we're off to the races, or we get rejected straight away. Like, for example, this is what I was looking for. It didn't show up well on the weekly, but you can see we basically came right down, had a big bounce out, and then that was all she wrote. The next day or two after that, we didn't have any more momentum to the upside, and we just rolled straight over. You can see when we, on the flip side as well, when we hold the 200-day moving average, we're off to the races. When we hold it again, we normally just keep on making all-time highs. We bounced off it here, and you can see it does this very clear trend all the time. The SPY is probably the most easily indicatable stocks to trade in the whole world, because I mean, look, this is textbook. We broke below it, went above it, we didn't hold it as support, we broke down. So this is the kind of move that I'm looking for now. Again, we break out of here, come down, break out, and break all the way down. So the SPY, as long as we're below the 200-day moving average, then we're bearish. As long as we're bouncing on it as support, then we're bullish. That is really as simple as the stock market goes. Now, we are currently above the 200-day moving average, but this is our first bounce from being below. So I would like to remind you that something like this, which we originally predicted in this chop pattern where we kind of break down, break back up, and roll over, is still very much in play. Now, obviously this didn't play out, so like I said one more time, there's two scenarios. We either get rejected off this this line of sellers here, or we break above and we start seeing new all-time highs. Now, alternatively, you could argue that we could get rejected here once, roll over and use the 200-day as support, and then obviously we would be bullish at that point as well. So we could call that a bullish scenario as well. But until I do think we're going to come and back test the 200-day moving average, so I don't think we're going to be getting above this resistance the first time up, simply because if we look at historical data and looking at past trends is probably the best way to do it. We've never really just broke down below the 200-day and exploded out and never visited it again. I'll show you here. Obviously this was when we just came right down, but whenever we break, obviously these are tiny breaks, but whenever we have a strong break below and a bounce, we always either break back down or we come to the 200-day. You can see here as well, we had a pretty strong wick below, then we bounced up and we came and used the 200-day as support. So yeah, this is what I'm looking for the SPY. If we come over to the NASDAQ, You can see the Nasdaq's not doing as well as the SPY, but we are still above the 200 days, so the Nasdaq could obviously bounce off here and be off to the races, and then we would obviously not need to see a bounce on the SPY, because these will pretty much follow each other. SPX and SPY, same thing. And also for the dollar looks relatively strong right now, so take away that with what you will. The next move for the dollar is probably down to 95, and then we could probably see a bounce from there. But as you can see, the dollar is in a clear uptrend here, and the stock market is, you know, very iffy right now. We're still in decision time, so we'll need to see what happens with this price level around here. So we should have an answer in the next 2 or 3 days. If we look at the RSI looks like it's came up pretty fast, too fast for my liking, which kind of does tell me that most probable scenarios we come down to here, back to 443, which would be about a 3% drop from here, and obviously we'd need to see what happens once we come back to 443. So once again, none of this is financial advice, it's all just my opinions on the market. You should always do what's best for you. Peace.